Hey, Berkeleyites. So, in this week for Counselor Corner, we are talking about anxiety. And we've talked about it a lot last year during the pandemic when we all had to go into the online classroom. And we're talking about it again because it is a very important topic. And we are noticing that a lot of people are struggling with feeling stressed and overwhelmed with this new normal. And so, for that reason, we're going to deep dive a bit into anxiety. If you looked at last week's video and looked at last week's activity, you will know that we began to broadly discuss the topic of anxiety. This week, we want to go a little bit deeper and pick apart your anxiety and begin to develop ways in which we can cope with our stress. So the first thing we need to know is that there is a difference between fear and anxiety. Fear is a stress response from real and immediate danger, while anxiety is a what if. It's a stress response that we get from what we imagine to be the case, whether or not it actually is the case. So if you look at this graphic, you see that we have the little fish who is swimming on, handling his business, doing what he does every day, when all of a sudden a shark appears and there is an immediate stress response from the fish, because there is a real and present danger. There is a real and immediate danger. That is fear. This fish has a valid reason for why he should be stressed and anxious in that present moment. But look at this second graphic. We have the fish who still feels anxious and stressed, but there is no shark present. That is anxiety. He's afraid, he's nervous, but there's no evidence that he should be. And so when we think about it in the context of us as students in school, this is what we are experiencing. When you are having a panic attack or when you are feeling stressed or anxious and nervous, you have to ask yourself, is there a real, immediate, and legitimate fear? Or is it just something that I'm thinking about that is making me feel this way? So for this week, I have one worksheet that I want you to consider. Let's take a look. So anxiety is the body's response to situations that are interpreted as threatening. Without any anxiety, you would probably make bad decisions, such as driving too fast on the highway or not paying your bills. However, too much anxiety can lead to avoidance or unpleasant physical, emotional, and cognitive symptoms. This questionnaire or this worksheet is asking you to think about your anxiety. And remember, anxiety looks different for everyone, but in many cases, it's the same physiological responses, meaning the body reacts very similarly in different people. Your heart may race, your hands may get sweaty, your legs may tremble. It may feel as though your throat is closing up. Your tummy might get upset. Those are all symptoms of anxiety. So this worksheet, the first question is, what are 3 things that trigger your anxiety? So I want you to think very carefully about 3 things or 3 situations that make you feel really nervous. The second question is, what are 3 physical symptoms that you experience when you feel anxious? Number 3, what are 3 thoughts you tend to have when you feel anxious? And number 4, what are 3 things you do to cope when you are anxious? That's it for this week's Counselor Corner. Don't forget to email your responses to lwashington@berkeley.bm. See you next week.